Welcome back to Passionate About Music Education. I'm Rachel Hardman. Today I'm going to talk about listening and encouraging our students to be more active listeners in the classroom. Over the last few months, like many of us, we've been teaching music in unusual circumstances and situations. So I've been teaching music to my M3 students in a science lab because they're not allowed to come out of their bubble, which, as you can imagine, has been quite a challenge. So we've had to explore pop history in a totally different way than I would normally do. I know that a lot of my M3 students won't be going on to high school and studying music further, but I do feel it's my job to give them an appreciation of music, particularly of music history and the timelines, so they can apply that to their own identity, their own musical appreciation as they go into being young adults. So we've been looking at timelines, we've been looking at music technology, we've been talking about how music has been recorded, going from LPs to cassette tapes to CDs and obviously streaming. And they're quite intrigued by cassette tapes and Walkmans. So we did a lesson on mixtapes, creating mixtapes. So back in the good old days, when I was a youngster, you made a mixtape, you recorded music off the radio onto cassette tapes, or you made mixtape playlists, so you put in the car for long journeys, or you gave it to somebody that you liked to show how much you cared about them. So I wanted to bring this in to our students so they thought about making mixtapes and lists of suitable music for friends, family, parties, exercise. Very much a playlist, because I think it's so important that they talk and discuss musical ideas, that share music, but how music is part of their identity. We had great fun doing this task. The worksheet is on the TPT and TES if you want to download it for free. And they had great fun doing this exercise. But what was very clear was how little they were listening to music. Where we think our students with all this modern day technology are listening to music all the time, they're really not. They're not talking to their family members about music and what they're listening to. They don't know what their parents like. They know maybe that they like reggae, or they like hip hop, or they like a certain artist, but they don't know their favourite songs. Things that we just presume carry on generation to generation. It's really evident in this topic that students aren't listening to music, just even for themselves, as much as we think they are. So I do feel that although I've had to teach music in a very different way this year, and I'm not doing as much practical work, what I am teaching them is a different set of skills, that identity part of music education, how music is part of what their identity is, and how their identity will change with music, and how their identity changes with fashion, particularly in that sort of middle school, high school age. And so I really did find that quite interesting at how little music they were listening to. But it also goes into that question of, again, because there's so much on the internet, but it's not the same as going into a record store and browsing and seeing the latest charts and seeing, that physical music. So I think, certainly for me as an educator, it's been teaching for a long time, sometimes the things we presume our students are doing and are able to access easily, that's not the case, particularly with listening to music, finding new artists, buying music. And if we're really truthful, I think even we've changed that. We probably don't buy as much music. We certainly don't buy the CDs and LPs like we used to. And are we listening to as many artists, or are we going on to your YouTube sites and Spotify streaming sites and just streaming the latest music off of there? Are we really listening to music like we did 10-15 years ago? And I think we have to be aware that presumption our students are doing something that we're not even doing. We have to be careful not to presume our students are doing what we're actually not doing ourselves. So if you're finding this year tough, like I am, not being able to teach music in the same way that you've always taught it, you're doing that very much practical music making aspect, don't forget that listening is a huge part of that. And any chance that you can help students expand their knowledge, expand their repertoire of music they're listening to, genres and styles, appreciation is a really good thing, because although we think they're doing that, in truth, from many of the topics and tasks I've done this year, they're not listening to music just as much as we think they are. So I hope this has been helpful. Check out the mixtape activity. It's free on TES and TPT. I'll put the link in the description below, because students had great fun doing that, and I had great fun Did make me feel quite old as a teacher talking about mixtapes, but they love the concept of it. So sometimes it's good to bring in these new ideas to our students. Don't forget, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you again here soon. I'm Rachel Hardman, and this is Passionate About Music Education.